His lips crashed against hers under the full moon, just as a growl split the night, reminding them that danger was never far. Welcome back, wild hearts. If passion under moonlit skies calls to you, join the pack. Hit subscribe so you never miss a single video.
The night was quiet in the village. Too quiet. Elena sat by the window, her fingers drumming against the wooden sill, her chest tight with the weight of secrets only she carried. Sleep had not touched her since the night of the blood moon. Every creak of the forest behind her grandmother's house pulled her eyes, searching, waiting. She had seen him. She had felt him. A stranger cloaked in shadows, a beast cloaked in fur, an alpha cloaked in blood. Damien. She hadn't known his name then, but his eyes, amber, burning, unshakable, had branded themselves into her memory. She had felt his strength, his danger, and yet, she had not been afraid. Her heart had whispered what her mind refused to admit. He had saved her. But why? The forest whispered still. At night, the air carried a presence. Sometimes she swore she heard footsteps just beyond the trees. Sometimes a branch cracked when nothing should have moved. And sometimes, most haunting of all, she caught the faint gleam of eyes in the darkness, watching. The elders in the village had always warned, stay out of the forest after dark. The wolves are restless when the moon is high. But Elena knew these were no ordinary wolves. Her mind spun with memories, the rogue wolf that had lunged, jaws wide, the snap of its teeth closing too close. And then, like a shadow ripped from the night, he had appeared, tall, powerful, terrifying, beautiful. He had fought, not just as a wolf but as something greater. She had seen the way the rogues circled him, how they feared him even as they struck. She had seen blood dripping from his mouth, his fur bristling like fire. And she had seen the way he had looked at her, like she wasn't supposed to be there, like her very existence was dangerous to him. And then, he was gone. Elena. Her grandmother's voice called softly from the other room, pulling her back. You should rest, it's late. I can't sleep, Elena whispered back, not daring to turn from the forest. Her grandmother sighed, the sound heavy with unspoken truths. The old woman knew more than she let on, always had. But Elena couldn't wait for answers to come to her. Not anymore. Something inside her pulled, stronger than fear, stronger than reason. A tether, an invisible thread. Every night since, she found herself standing at the edge of the trees, staring into the darkness, waiting. And tonight would be no different. Damien watched her from the shadows, silent as the night. He had promised himself he wouldn't come again. Yet here he was, his body hidden behind the dense line of trees, his amber eyes locked on her as she lingered by the window. She was fragile, human, and yet, his wolf strained within him, desperate to close the distance. Mate. The word hissed through his veins like fire, but he couldn't. He mustn't. Humans were forbidden. The laws of the pack were iron-bound, carved into blood and stone. An alpha who tangled himself with a mortal was weak, and weakness meant death, for himself, for her, for the pack. And yet, he could not leave her. Elena's breath caught. She saw it again, the faintest glow between the trees, eyes, watching. Her pulse quickened, every nerve alive. It's you, she whispered, as if he could hear. She rose from her chair, her bare feet silent on the wooden floor. Slowly, carefully, she stepped out the door and onto the soft grass. The night air was cool, carrying the scent of pine and earth. The forest loomed before her, dark and endless, but she didn't hesitate. Her heart led her forward. 1 step, 2 steps, and then she saw him. Not wolf, not man, something caught in between. A shadow given flesh. He stepped from the trees with silent grace, his tall frame dominating the darkness. His hair was black as midnight, his chest bare, the muscles beneath his skin glistening faintly in the moonlight. His trousers were torn at the edges, dirt and blood staining them from his fight. But his eyes, those eyes burned amber, locking onto hers with such intensity that she forgot to breathe. Stay away. His voice was low, rough, like gravel breaking in his throat. Elena froze, her body trembling. She should have run, she should have screamed, but she didn't. Instead, she took another step forward. "You saved me," she whispered, his jaw clenched. "That was a mistake." "Then why are you here?" The silence between them was louder than words. The night itself seemed to lean in, listening. Damien's chest rose and fell, his breath sharp. He wanted to tell her the truth, that he had been drawn to her since the first time her scent had hit him, that every bone in his body screamed to protect her, to claim her. But he couldn't. He wouldn't. So he said the only thing he could. "You don't belong in my world. If you value your life, stay out of the forest." Elena's throat tightened, but she shook her head. "No, I can't." The words slipped out before she could stop them. She couldn't explain it, not even to herself, but something about him pulled at her soul. His eyes flickered, his expression torn between anger and something deeper, something raw. Elena. Her name rolled off his tongue like a growl, like a warning, like a prayer. Then suddenly branches snapped behind him. Damien spun, his body tense, his ears sharp. The air shifted, thick with danger. "Elena, go!" he barked, stepping in front of her. But it was too late. From the shadows, silver eyes gleamed. Not human, not wolf, something else. And the night erupted. The forest seemed to hold its breath. Every leaf, every branch, every whisper of wind carried a weight that pressed on Elena's chest. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure Damien could hear it. The silver-eyed creature moved with predatory grace. Not a wolf. Not a human. Something older. Something cruel. And behind it, two more shapes emerged, rogues, eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight, their fur bristling, bodies taut with hunger. Elena stumbled backward, her bare feet sinking into the cool dirt. Panic clawed at her throat, but her gaze never left Damien. He stepped forward, and suddenly his form shifted. The air around him trembled, his human shape melting into sleek black fur. Muscles rippled under the night sky, his eyes glowing like molten amber. A growl rolled deep in his chest, vibrating through the earth beneath them. Elena froze, part fear, part awe. She had never seen anything so alive, so terrifying, so magnificent. "Stay behind me!" Damien's voice was no longer human. It was primal, commanding, a sound that made the forest itself bend to his presence. The first rogue lunged. The movement was lightning fast, a blur of silver and teeth. Damien met it with a snap of his jaws, teeth clashing in a shower of sparks, as if the night itself had ignited. Elena's breath caught. Every movement was too fast to follow. 1 second he was human, the next a beast of shadow and power, and then he was between her and danger again, protective, unstoppable. Branches whipped across their faces as Damien fought, each motion precise, lethal. He circled, spun, struck. The rogues hesitated only for a heartbeat before their hunger drove them forward again. Elena's hands trembled, but she couldn't look away. She felt a pull toward him, something deep and ancient. Her instincts screamed at her to run, to hide, to survive. Yet her body refused. She wanted to touch him, to feel the warmth beneath the black fur, to know he was real. A growl escaped her lips, involuntary, primal, and Damien's ears flicked toward her. For a moment, his amber eyes softened just enough that her knees nearly buckled. The fight escalated. One rogue was thrown back with a feral roar, landing hard against a tree. The other circled, cautious now, sensing the danger of the alpha's wrath. Damien's stance was perfect, coiled like a spring, every muscle ready to explode. And then it was over. The rogues disappeared into the shadows as quickly as they had arrived. The forest fell silent again, save for the ragged sound of Damien's breathing and Elena's own shaky exhalations. He turned to her, black fur glistening, eyes blazing with an intensity that made her pulse skip. "Elena," he growled low, voice rough and unsteady. "You shouldn't be here." I had to see you," she whispered. Her hand reached forward almost unconsciously. Her fingers brushed the fur along his shoulder. He stiffened, but did not pull away. Instead, his head lowered slightly, letting her touch him, feel the heat and strength beneath. "You don't know what you're doing," he said, warning threaded through every syllable. "I know exactly what I'm doing," she replied, her voice trembling but determined. "I won't leave." Damien's eyes flickered with a storm of emotion. Anger, desire, fear, and something older, deeper, that he could not name. His wolf growled softly in agreement with the primal pull in his chest. "You are a human," he said. "You don't belong in this world. Everything I am bound to, would destroy you. And yet," she breathed, "I want it. I want you." The tension between them crackled in the cool night air. The forest seemed to shrink around them, branches bending toward their presence, shadows stretching as if to witness this forbidden union. Damien's chest heaved, his amber eyes searching her face for hesitation, for doubt. There was none. Only courage, stubbornness, and the pull of something that transcended reason. A low wind rustled the leaves, carrying with it scents that only Damien could decipher. The lingering trace of the rogues, the sharp tang of blood, and something else. Elena. Her heartbeat, her warmth, her essence. He could not fight it anymore. Slowly he shifted back into his human form, muscles tensing and relaxing with a fluid grace that betrayed the beast within. His chest rose and fell, sweat and the night mist coating his skin. His amber eyes never left hers. "You are mine," he said, the words barely a whisper, yet weighted with an authority that made her shiver. Elena's breath caught. She felt it, not just his claim, but the pull of fate, of destiny, of something far older than either of them. And then, instinctively, she stepped forward, closing the distance between them. Her hand pressed against his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart, the warmth, the life, the power. For a moment, the world fell away. There were no rogues, no shadows, no forest. Only the two of them bound by a force neither fully understood. A snap of a branch yanked them back to reality. Damien's head snapped up, alert. His body shifted in protective readiness, eyes scanning the darkness. "Elena, run," he barked, his voice carrying a fierce authority. But she didn't move. He stepped forward, placing himself between her and the unknown threat still lingering in the forest's edge. His muscles coiled, the dark trousers on his legs smeared with dirt and blood, chest bare, glowing under the faint moonlight. A distant howl echoed through the trees, and the shadows seemed to bend toward them again. Damien's eyes blazed, amber fire lighting the darkness as his wolf instinct surged. Elena's hand remained on his chest, trembling and yet unwavering. Her pulse matched his, her courage igniting in rhythm with his power. For a moment, they simply stood there, two souls on the edge of an impossible bond, the forest alive around them, a world poised on the brink of chaos and desire. And then, without warning, the first distant wolf call shattered the night. Damien growled, low and dangerous, his protective instincts flaring. He grabbed Elena's wrist, pulling her into the cover of trees. Branches whipped across their faces as they ran, the shadows stretching and bending around their flight. The chase began. This flight through the forest was not merely escape. It was a test. Elena's heart raced with fear and exhilaration. Every step pressed her closer to him, closer to danger, closer to the unknown that she could not resist. Damien ran like a predator born of shadow, his muscles rippling, his bare chest streaked with sweat and moonlight. Every step, every glance, every movement screamed of a strength beyond human comprehension. Behind them, the sound of movement, The rogues, or worse, kept the tension taut, a string pulled tight across the night. Elena stumbled, branches cutting at her face, dirt clinging to her skin, but Damien's hand was firm on her wrist. His strength guided her, protected her. Every glance he threw backward carried a silent promise. I will not let them touch you. They didn't stop until they reached the edge of town. The first hints of dawn were touching the horizon, painting the sky in bruised purples and golds. The village houses appeared, distant and safe, but the forest still loomed behind them, silent, watchful, hungry. Elena turned toward him, fear and wonder reflected in her wide eyes. Damien stopped, breathing heavily, chest rising and falling, sweat and dirt coating his skin. Amber eyes blazing, he stared at her, warning and longing mixed in the depths of that gaze. You should have listened, he said, voice low, but softer now. I can't stay away, she whispered. He looked away, conflicted, torn between duty and desire, beast and man. His fingers brushed against the dark trousers he wore, a fleeting motion of humanity in the shadow of his power. The silence stretched. Then finally he spoke almost to himself. You are mine, whether you understand it or not. Elena's chest swelled, with something she couldn't name. Fear, awe, desire, and a tether pulling her irrevocably toward him. The sun was rising. The forest behind them was quiet again. But Elena knew. This was only the beginning. The town was just waking. Morning mist clung to the cobblestones, softening the edges of buildings, curling around the corners like ghosts. The villagers were few, mostly early risers tending to chores, but Elena didn't notice them. Her eyes were fixed on him. Damien walked beside her, tall, silent, his bare chest still carrying the shadow of the night's battle. The dark trousers clung to his form, muscles moving fluidly with every step. His amber eyes, glowing faintly even in the muted daylight, watched the edges of the forest like a predator scanning territory. Elena, he said finally, voice low. A growl buried beneath the words. You shouldn't be here. You don't understand the danger you've put yourself in. I understand more than you think, she replied. Her hand brushed against his, almost accidentally. The heat of his skin burned through the chill of the morning. Damien's jaw tightened, the movement sharp. He wanted to pull away, to enforce the law that humans cannot mingle with his kind. But the pull between them was relentless, impossible to ignore. The forest, the moon, the blood moon. It had all set this fate in motion. You don't know what you're tempting, he said, his voice now soft but firm, vibrating with a barely controlled intensity. I'm not afraid, she whispered. He stopped. The townsfolk paused too, sensing the strange tension radiating between them, though they couldn't see what she did. Damien's eyes scanned her, reading her courage, her determination, her curiosity, the very essence that drew him toward her. And then it struck him like a blow. This was it. The human who had no right to be here, who had no reason to be caught in his world, had captured his heart entirely. The morning stretched on. Elena and Damien moved through the empty streets, the boundary of the forest ever present behind them. Every shadow seemed deeper now, every breeze carrying whispers of danger. Elena noticed paw prints in the soft earth behind the houses. She stopped and crouched, fingers tracing the impressions. Damien, she whispered. They were here. He followed, eyes narrowing, nostrils flaring. A growl rumbled deep in his chest. Rogues. They tracked us last night, waiting for a mistake. You shouldn't be here to see this. I have to know, she said. I have to understand. He looked at her, chest rising and falling, sunlight catching the sharp planes of his face. There was no hesitation in her eyes, only a stubborn determination that made him want to sweep her into his arms, shield her from every danger in the world, even if it meant defying his own laws. Later, they found a secluded alley near the river. Damien leaned against the wall, muscles taut, his dark trousers still stained from the night's skirmish. His eyes held the golden amber of the wolf within, dangerous and bright. "Elena," he said, voice low, warning buried beneath desire. "I should not be here with you. It is forbidden. Humans—" "I know," she interrupted, stepping closer. Her hand brushed against his forearm. "But I don't care." The forest had taught them silence. Danger had taught them alertness. But the pull between them, that defied all laws. Damien's head tilted slightly, studying her. Every instinct screamed to take her away, to shield her, to claim her, but human laws, pack rules, and destiny's chains bound him. And yet, he could not stop himself. His fingers grazed hers, tentative at first, then firmer. His amber gaze softened for a heartbeat, revealing a longing he had hidden even from himself. "You're mine," he murmured, barely audible over the river's murmur. "Do you understand that?" Elena's breath hitched. "Yes," she whispered. "I think I do." The hours passed in a blur. Elena found herself pulled deeper into the world she had glimpsed only in shadows and whispers. Damien led her through the streets, keeping her safe, teaching her the rules she would need to survive. She noticed how he observed the pack from afar, how he reacted to every subtle movement, every flick of a tail, every distant howl. His alpha instincts were relentless, sharp, protective, and terrifying. And then the warning came. A low growl from the edge of town, carried by the wind. Damien stiffened. "They know we're here," he said, his muscles tensed, every nerve alive. "Stay close. Move quietly." Elena followed, heartbeat echoing in her chest. She didn't want to be afraid, but fear and desire wove together in a tangled knot inside her. Every glance at him, every step in his shadow made her pulse race, made her senses sharpen, made her feel alive. As night fell again, they returned to the forest's edge. Damien stood at the boundary, chest rising and falling, the moonlight painting his form in golden highlights and deep shadows. He had returned to his human guise, though the wolf within still pulsed beneath the surface, waiting, eager. "Elena," he said, voice a low rumble. "If you step beyond this point, there is no turning back. The forest, the pack, it will claim you. Are you ready for that?" Her gaze never wavered. "I've been ready since the moment I saw you." His eyes burned with a mixture of warning and desire. Every fiber of his being screamed to protect her, to claim her, to defy the law. And yet, reason whispered that this could destroy them both. And then the pull happened. Unseen, unstoppable. Their hands found each other, their fingers intertwined. And in that instant, the bond whispered itself into existence. Delicate, dangerous, binding. Damien's amber eyes flickered with fire and hunger. Elena's chest heaved, senses tingling with the forest's pulse, the pack's heartbeat, the faintest echo of the blood moon still lingering in the sky. For a moment, the world narrowed to two souls, human and wolf, alpha and mate, bound by fate. A sudden rustle in the shadows shattered the moment. A figure moved beyond the trees, silver eyes gleaming, cold and unnatural. Elena's hand tightened around Damien's wrist. He growled, muscles coiling like a spring. "Run," he commanded. But she did not step back. She only stepped closer, pressing herself against him, trusting the danger and the darkness and the beast she could not resist. And then, a soft, almost imperceptible smile curved Damien's lips. Part warning, part surrender, part promise. "You will learn," he whispered, "that nothing in this world can keep us apart. Nothing." The forest held its breath once more, the shadows stretching, the night alive, and the bond between human and alpha sealed, invisible but undeniable. The moon had climbed high again, pale silver washing over the town and the edge of the forest. Elena could feel the pulse of the night vibrating beneath her feet, the very air thick with expectation. She clung to Damien's hand, heart hammering, senses alive with every rustle of leaves and distant whisper of wind. Damien moved like shadow incarnate, each step silent, precise, muscles rippling beneath his dark trousers and bare chest. His amber eyes scanned the forest, reflecting the dim light like twin flames. He had taught her to notice things, to feel the rhythm of the pack, to sense danger before it struck, but nothing had prepared her for what was coming. "Elena," he said, voice low, warning layered beneath a thread of desire. "Stay close. This forest, it doesn't forgive mistakes, and we are not alone tonight." Her breath caught. She had never felt so alive, so terrified, so drawn to something she couldn't fully understand. Yet every fiber of her body wanted to stay, wanted to run through the darkness with him, wanted to feel the pull that tethered them together. The shadows shifted, a soft snapping of branches hinting at movement. Damien's body tensed, growl rising deep in his throat. "They're here," he murmured. "Rogues, waiting, watching. They smell the bond between us. They will test it." Elena's pulse quickened. She had only glimpsed danger before, the rogue wolves in the forest, the unseen predators in the night. Now it felt closer, sharper, almost tangible. Damien crouched low, his body coiled like a spring, his eyes scanning the darkness with predatory precision. Every instinct screamed at him, protect, defend, dominate. And every instinct screamed for her too, keep her safe, claim her, do not let her go. A sudden rustle erupted nearby. Two shapes lunged out of the undergrowth, eyes glowing faintly, fur bristling with aggression. Rogue wolves. Their snarls filled the night, a sound that resonated deep in Elena's chest. Damien reacted instantly, a flash of black fur, amber eyes blazing, teeth bared. He struck with precision, taking down one rogue with a swipe that sent it crashing into the brush. The other hesitated, circling cautiously. Elena's hands trembled, yet she could not look away. She had never witnessed anything like this. Strength, power, danger, and yet control. Damien was terrifying, beautiful, perfect in a way that defied understanding. "You must run," he growled, not looking at her but keeping her close. "I won't," she whispered. Her pulse matched his, her courage intertwining with fear. "I'm not leaving you." His head snapped toward her. Amber eyes softened for just a moment before hardening again, warning, desire, need tangled in a single gaze. "You don't understand the consequences," he said, his voice a low rumble. "Humans cannot survive in our world, not like this." She took a step closer, hands brushing his chest. "Then I want to try. I want to be with you, no matter the danger." The rogue lunged again. Damien shifted, muscles rippling, black fur glinting in the moonlight. He moved like liquid shadow, meeting it head-on. Teeth clashed, growls echoed, and the night seemed to bend around them. Elena ducked instinctively, heart pounding, but something inside her stirred. A thrill, a longing, a fire she could not extinguish. When the fight ended, silence fell, thick and heavy. The rogues had vanished into the shadows, leaving only the sound of their own ragged breaths and the distant hoot of an owl. Damien turned to her, chest rising and falling, sweat and moonlight coating his bare skin. He looked dangerous, lethal, and utterly captivating. "Elena," he said, voice low, almost intimate. "You should not have seen that. The forest, my world, it is not for humans." "I saw it," she whispered, stepping closer. "And I'm not afraid." His eyes softened for a heartbeat. He wanted to believe her, to trust her, to let her in. But duty, law, and instinct screamed at him. Humans could not belong to the world of the Blackfang pack. Yet she was not just any human. She was his fated mate. And fate was a force even he could not deny. "You are mine," he said, the words heavy with both warning and promise. whether you understand it or not. Elena's chest swelled. Something primal stirred inside her, a recognition, a tether pulling her toward him. Her instincts, her heartbeat, every nerve seemed to align with his, and then a sound, faint, deliberate, and chilling. Footsteps, human, not from the villagers, not from the forest, someone else, someone trained. Damien stiffened, his body coiled, eyes scanning the shadows. "Hunter," he whispered, "someone seeking us, seeking me." Elena froze, fear mixed with fascination. The world of the wolf was no longer a distant mystery. It was real, dangerous, and thrilling. She felt the pull stronger than ever, binding her to Damien, binding her to a destiny she could not yet understand. They moved deeper into the forest, shadows hugging them, the moonlight filtering through leaves like silver veins. Damien's hand gripped hers firmly, guiding her, shielding her. Every step was measured, every glance alert. "Elena, do not speak unless I command it," he warned, his voice a growl, controlled but tense. "Yes," she breathed, willing herself to obey while secretly wanting to defy him, to show courage, to stand by his side no matter the danger. The footsteps followed, closer, precise, human, calculated, a hunter, not random, not foolish, not naive. He was skilled, dangerous, and he was coming for them. Damien's amber eyes flared. He pressed closer to Elena, protective, possessive, determined. "Stay behind me," he commanded. Her heart raced, every nerve alive, and yet she refused to hide. She stepped closer, pressing against his side. "I'm not leaving you," she said. He looked down at her. The wolf inside him stirred, growling, urging, commanding. And yet the human in him felt helpless, vulnerable, captivated, drawn. For a moment, time seemed to suspend. Only the rustle of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, and the beat of their hearts filled the forest. And then, the shadow of a figure emerged, dark, tall, precise. The hunter, eyes cold, weapon raised, calculating, ready. Damien's muscles coiled, amber eyes blazed. "Run," he growled, not a suggestion but a command. Elena hesitated only for a heartbeat. Then instinct, trust, and desire propelled her forward, following him into the depths of the night. The forest swallowed them. Branches whipped past their faces, roots threatened to trip them, shadows seemed alive, chasing them, pressing, threatening. But Damien moved like liquid shadow, powerful, precise, unstoppable. His hand never left hers. His body shielded her, guided her, kept her alive. "Elena, listen to me," he barked over the pounding of their hearts, the rush of air, the snapping of twigs. "Trust me completely. Do not doubt for a single second." "I trust you," she shouted, breathless, exhilarated, heart-pounding, soul alight. A branch cracked behind them. Damien spun, black fur flashing, teeth bared, instinct and power incarnate. The hunter's presence felt closer, more dangerous. The pull of the night, the forest, the blood moon, all aligned against them. And yet Damien's grip on Elena, his amber eyes blazing, his protective presence anchored her. She felt safe, against all odds, against all law, against fate itself. They emerged from the forest edge just as the first hints of dawn brushed the horizon. The hunter's presence was gone, but the threat lingered. Damien's chest heaved. His muscles glistened with sweat and moonlight. Amber eyes still glowing, still blazing, still dangerous. Elena looked at him, awe and desire in her eyes. "We survived," she whispered. "No," he corrected, voice low, still tense. "We've only just begun, and now, you know the danger you've invited into your life." Her hand found his again. "Then I choose it," she said softly. "I choose you." Damien's jaw tightened. He wanted to argue, to protect her from the impossible choice. Yet inside, a storm of emotions raged. Need, love, warning, desire. He pressed a hand to her cheek, brushing a lock of hair back. Amber eyes softened for the first time fully, glowing with a mixture of warning and surrender. "You are mine," he repeated, words like fire, binding them both. "And nothing, no law, no pack, no hunter, can take you from me." The forest, the town, the night, all seemed to bow to that moment. Two souls, human and alpha, tethered by fate, desire, and an unbreakable bond. The first rays of dawn stretched across the horizon, painting gold across the sky, but the shadows of the forest, the echoes of the rogues, and the distant threat of the hunter reminded them danger was never far. Elena's heart raced, every sense alight, every nerve attuned. She knew without a doubt that this was only the beginning, that their bond, their passion, their fate would be tested in ways neither of them could yet imagine. And in the deepest shadows of the forest, eyes glowed, waiting, watching, planning. The forest was alive with whispers, the subtle rustle of leaves like a language only the wolves could understand. Damien moved through it with fluid precision, every sense alert, every movement controlled. Elena followed closely, her hand brushing against his arm occasionally, but never losing her focus. They had returned to the Blackfang territory, the forest edge alive with the scent of the pack. Alpha leaders, warriors and elders had begun gathering. Damien could feel their scrutiny even before they saw him. His chest rose and fell with barely contained tension. Amber eyes scanning, every instinct screaming warning. "Elena," he said softly, voice low enough that only she could hear. "This is not a place for humans. The pack watches everything, every glance, every movement. You must remain hidden." "I can do that," she whispered, though her heart pounded with excitement and fear. She was already learning the rules, though every fiber of her being wanted to defy them. The clearing opened before them. Wolves of all sizes circled, their golden eyes bright in the fading light. At the center, the elders sat in solemn formation. Their faces were lined with age and authority, eyes sharp with judgment. Damien stepped forward, tall, imposing, and undeniably alpha. "This is Elena," he announced to the council, voice carrying the authority of the leader. "She is someone important to me. I ask your patience and your understanding." A murmur went through the council. Some wolves stiffened, their hackles rising. Humans Damien's mate? Impossible. Forbidden. Dangerous. One elder, silver fur streaked with age, rose slowly, his eyes cold and piercing fixed on Elena. "Alpha Damien," he said, "you know the law. Humans are not to be tolerated within pack territory, not in your presence, and certainly not near the rituals." Damien's jaw tightened. "I understand the law," he said, amber eyes blazing. "But some things, some connections, cannot be denied." Elena felt a thrill run through her. She had never seen the Alpha so defiant, so commanding, so utterly unyielding. His presence filled the clearing, magnetic, dangerous, and yet somehow inviting. The council remained skeptical, but Damien's authority was undeniable. Elena stayed close, watching the rituals, feeling the pulse of the pack, sensing the ancient power that ran through the forest and its inhabitants. She noticed subtle glances, the way warriors whispered to each other, and the slight tension in Damien's stance whenever someone questioned his decisions. The pack was loyal, but not blind. Rival alphas were always seeking weakness, and Elena's presence, well, it was a lightning rod. Damien led her through the forest after the council meeting. The shadows stretched, twisting around them, alive with the scent of danger and intrigue. "You are learning fast," he said, voice low and intimate. "The forest, the pack, it will demand more of you than you can imagine." "I want to learn," she replied, her hand brushing his again. Every touch was electric, every glance a spark threatening to ignite into something uncontrollable. "You do not know what you're asking for," he murmured, amber eyes darkening with warning. This world is not kind to humans, and I am not kind to anyone who threatens those I care for. Elena felt a shiver run down her spine. Dangerous, protective alpha. The essence of Damien radiated from every movement, every glance. And yet, despite the danger, she was drawn to him in ways she could not name. Night fell, and with it came the first true test of trust. A rival alpha, a towering figure named Kale, emerged at the edge of their territory. His eyes gleamed with challenge, his pack lurking behind him like shadows ready to strike. The tension was immediate, thick enough to taste. Damien's muscles tensed. "Kyle," he said, voice carrying through the clearing like a whip. "What brings you here?" "Curiosity, Alpha," Kale said smoothly, his gaze flicking toward Elena. "And perhaps a warning. Do not let your human distraction cost you everything you've built." Elena felt the threat radiate from him, sharp and dangerous. She instinctively stepped behind Damien, yet part of her longed to step forward, to confront the challenge, to prove her courage. Damien's eyes flared amber, body coiling like a spring. "She is not a distraction," he said, voice hard, commanding. "She is my mate, and no one threatens what is mine." The rival pack growled, but Kale raised a hand. "We shall see," he said, eyes glinting with amusement and malice. "The night is young, Alpha, and your choices will be tested." Elena watched in awe and fear. The world of werewolves was dangerous, complex, and intoxicating. Every movement, every glance, every whispered threat carried meaning. And Damien, he navigated it all with grace, power, and an intensity that made her pulse race. They retreated deeper into the forest, away from the prying eyes of rival packs. The moon rose high, silver light spilling through the trees. Elena's senses were heightened. Every sound, every scent, every shadow seemed alive. "You are stronger than I imagined," Damien said, brushing a hand over her arm, amber eyes locking onto hers. "And yet, there is danger. More than you realize." "I can handle it," she replied, voice steady, though her chest fluttered. "With you?" His lips curved slightly, almost a smile. "Bold," he murmured. "Dangerous, and completely irresistible." The pull between them was magnetic, undeniable. The bond that had begun to stir in the forest was awakening fully now. Every brush of their hands, every glance, every heartbeat was a thread weaving them together, stronger, deeper, impossible to ignore. Suddenly, a howl pierced the night. Long, mournful, and filled with warning. Damien's ears twitched, muscles coiling. "Rogues," he growled. "They are circling. We must move." Elena's heart pounded. She had seen this before, the danger, the power, the thrill, but this time it felt closer, sharper, impossible to escape. Damien grabbed her hand, pulling her behind him, body tense, protective. Amber eyes scanned the shadows, every sense alive. She could feel the wolf within him, powerful, primal, relentless, and she was drawn to it, craving it, terrified and exhilarated all at once. Branches whipped past their faces as they moved swiftly, shadows twisting, forest alive with danger. The rogues were skilled, cunning, and relentless. But Damien, he was more than they expected. He moved with precision, strength, and a controlled ferocity that left Elena breathless. And in the quiet moments between danger, when their eyes met, the world narrowed to just two souls, human and alpha, bound by fate, desire, and a force neither could resist. By the time they emerged from the densest part of the forest, the moon was high, shadows long, and the threat unresolved. Damien's amber eyes burned with warning and desire. Elena's pulse raced, every nerve alight with the thrill of danger and the pull of their connection. "You are mine," he whispered, voice low, a promise and a warning intertwined. "And nothing, no rival, no hunter, no law, can take you from me." Elena swallowed, feeling the weight of his words, the depth of the bond forming between them. She had chosen this world, chosen him, and there was no turning back. The forest held its breath. The night was alive, and two hearts, human and wolf, bound by fate and fire, prepared to face the dangers yet to come. The moon hung high above, casting silver light over the forest like a quiet witness to every secret and danger. Elena followed Damien deeper into the Blackfang territory, senses on fire, heartbeat in sync with his. Each step took them further from the safety of the town and closer into the shadows of the pack's politics. "Listen," Damien said, voice low, careful, commanding. "The pack is divided. Loyalty is tested not by words but by actions. You must understand what this world demands if you want to remain by my side." Elena nodded, lips parted, eyes wide with both awe and fear. She had survived the forest attack, the rogues, and the hunters' pursuit, but now the danger was subtler, more cunning. The politics of the pack could be just as deadly as the claws of rogue wolves. They entered a clearing where members of the pack were gathered. Damien's presence commanded attention. Wolves of all ages and sizes, warriors and elders alike, turned to face him. Their golden eyes were sharp, wary, judging. "You brought a human here," a tall, muscular wolf growled. His tone carried accusation and defiance. "Do you not remember the laws?" Damien's amber eyes blazed. "I do. But laws were not made for love nor for fated bonds. Elena is my mate. She will be respected." The room fell into tense silence. Murmurs rippled through the pack, whispers of dissent and awe. Elena felt a strange thrill at the power Damien wielded, not just physical, but political, emotional, and instinctive. "Let them speak their fears," Damien continued. "Let them test us, but know this, we will not falter. And I will not abandon what is mine." Elena's mind spun. The pack hierarchy, the unspoken rules, the intensity of the Alpha's presence, it was overwhelming. And yet, as she glanced at Damien standing tall, commanding, amber eyes burning with authority and passion, a strange sense of belonging surged through her. Her instincts, dormant until now, twitched with recognition. The scent of the wolves, the rhythm of the forest, the subtle vibrations in the ground. They called to her in ways she didn't fully understand. A pull toward the supernatural, a tether she could not ignore. "Stay close to me," Damien murmured, brushing a hand along her back. "Tonight you may need every ounce of courage you possess." She nodded, lips brushing his arm. "I'm ready." The night deepened, and a new tension arose. Kyle, the rival Alpha, had not left. His eyes glimmered from the shadows, predatory, calculating. Elena felt it before she saw it. Danger, challenge, the sharp edge of malice. Kyle stepped forward, voice smooth, dripping with menace. "So, the Alpha of the Blackfang brings a human into his domain. A mate, no less. Fascinating." Damien's jaw tightened. "You will speak carefully, Kale. Respect the law or leave my territory." Kale smirked, amber eyes glinting. "The law is written by those in power, Damien. And tonight we test your resolve. Your choices will determine not just your future, but hers as well." Elena's heart pounded. She had never felt so exposed, so raw, so connected to the danger around her. The tension radiated like electricity through the forest. Damien stepped forward, chest rising, muscles coiled like springs. "She is my mate. You will not harm her. And if you try..." His growl rolled low, deep, primal. The pack fell silent. Even the whispers ceased. Kale's smirk faltered, just for a heartbeat. Amber eyes locked with amber eyes, Alpha against Alpha, power against power. The air seemed to crackle. Elena felt her own heartbeat sinking with Damien's. Something stirred within her, a recognition, a pull she could not deny. She raised a hand slightly, instinctively reaching toward him. The moment their fingers brushed, A pulse of energy surged through her. The bond, it was awakening. Kyle backed down reluctantly, at least for now, but the warning was clear. Threats would not cease. Danger would never truly leave them. And the pull between human and alpha grew stronger, more insistent. Damien led Elena to a secluded glade, moonlight filtering through the trees, illuminating her features like a painting. He brushed a strand of hair from her face, amber eyes softening, amber flames dimming just enough for vulnerability to show. "You are extraordinary," he murmured, voice low, intimate. "Not just because of who you are, but because of who you make me become." Elena's breath caught. I feel it too," she whispered. "I feel connected. To you, to the forest, to something I can't explain." His gaze softened, lingering, drawn. Every inch of him radiated power, desire, danger, and protectiveness. Amber eyes, furrowed brow, the tension of a warrior and alpha mingling with vulnerability. She leaned closer, heart pounding. "You are mine," he said again, voice like fire and velvet combined, "and I will not let this world, this pack, or anything else take you from me." The night grew deeper. Elena's senses sharpened further, responding to the forest, the pack, and the latent power within her. Her pulse matched Damien's, heartbeat aligned with the rhythm of the woods. A rustle nearby caught her attention. She tensed. Damien's muscles coiled instantly, the predator in him, alert, commanding, the human in him, protective, longing. His amber eyes locked on the shadow, warning, guiding, protecting. It was a rogue wolf, testing the boundaries. Damien moved with fluid precision, intercepting it before it could come closer. Elena's pulse surged with fear and exhilaration. She was learning, adapting, awakening. "You are stronger than you know," Damien whispered as they stood together in the moonlit glade. "Stronger than I ever expected. And the bond, it will only grow." A howl echoed in the distance, distant but chilling. It carried a warning, a reminder that danger was never far. Kyle, the rival alpha, and his pack would not rest. Hunters would circle. The forest itself seemed to hum with anticipation. Elena shivered, not from cold, but from exhilaration. Fear and desire mingled, drawing her closer to Damien, deeper into this world of shadows, power, and forbidden love. Damien placed a hand on her cheek, amber eyes locking with hers. "Tomorrow, the pack will test me further, and you will face choices that may challenge everything you thought you knew." Elena's hand rested against his chest. "Then I will face them. With you." The moonlight cast a silver glow over them. Two souls, human and alpha, tethered by fate, fire, and desire. The forest, alive with whispers, seemed to hold its breath. And somewhere in the shadows, eyes gleamed, watching, waiting, plotting. The night was far from over. The forest was thick with mist, curling around the trees like silent, ghostly fingers. Damien and Elena moved cautiously, every sound amplified, every shadow suspicious. The night had grown colder, sharper, almost alive with anticipation. "Elena," Damien whispered, amber eyes scanning the tree line. "Tonight you will learn what it means to be close to me, to be in this world." She nodded, heart hammering. Her pulse raced not only with fear but with exhilaration. Every instinct told her to run, yet every fiber of her body was drawn to Damien's presence, magnetic, impossible to resist. They paused on a hill overlooking the Blackfang territory. The silver light of the moon bathed the forest below, highlighting the shadows, the movement, the hidden threats. Damien's posture was tense, muscles coiled, his wolf instincts alive and alert. Elena could feel the heat radiating from him, the raw power of an alpha ready to protect his territory, his mate, and his secrets. "Look," he murmured, nodding toward the distant trees. Paw prints, freshly pressed into the earth, glimmered faintly in the moonlight. Glowing eyes blinked from the shadows. They were being watched, tested, hunted. Elena swallowed hard, adrenaline surging. I can feel them, she whispered. The forest. It's alive. I can sense something. Damien's gaze softened slightly. Yes, you're beginning to awaken. Your instincts, your power, it's part of the bond. You are connected to this world in ways you do not yet understand. As they descended into the clearing, whispers of movement reached them, furtive, tense. Damien's eyes narrowed. Rogues, he growled. Or worse, a hunter may be near. Elena's breath caught. The air was thick with danger, every sense screaming warning. She felt the pull of her own emerging instincts, a strange energy coursing through her veins. Her hands tingled, her heartbeat synced with Damien's, her mind racing with anticipation and awe. Suddenly, a shadow moved closer. Damien positioned himself between Elena and the threat, body taut, amber eyes blazing. The figure emerged. It was one of the rival alphas, Kale, with two of his strongest warriors. Their gaze, sharp and predatory, locked onto Damien with challenge and malice. You brought her into our territory, Kale said, voice smooth but laced with venom. Do you not know the rules? The law? I know the rules, Damien replied, low, steady, dangerous. But I am Alpha, and my mate is untouchable. Leave before I make you leave. Kale's smirk faltered, but only slightly. The tension crackled like lightning. Elena felt it in her bones, a vibration that resonated deep within her. Her senses were awakening fully, the bond with Damien pulling, urging, commanding. Elena could see it now. Every subtle movement, every unspoken word, every shift in the wind. She reached for Damien's hand instinctively, and the instant their fingers brushed, a surge of energy erupted. Heartbeats synchronized, breath deepened. The bond was real, tangible, unstoppable. Damien's amber eyes softened just for a moment. You feel it too, he murmured. The bond, it's awakening. Stronger than any law, any pack politics, any threat. Stronger than even I expected. Yes, Elena whispered, voice trembling. I feel everything. The forest, the wolves, you, me. Kyle's growl interrupted the moment. Alpha, the bond is irrelevant. You're blind if you think a human can stand among us. Damien's gaze flared. She is my mate, he said, voice hard, every word a command. And no one will challenge that. The confrontation escalated quickly. Wolves circled, growls and snarls filling the clearing. Elena's senses flared, reacting instinctively. She could sense the intent of every creature, every movement, the rhythm of the forest, the flow of danger. Damien moved with lethal precision, every step, every motion controlled, yet fluid. Elena followed, trusting instincts she barely understood, but that seemed to flow through the bond between them. One of Kale's wolves lunged, a blur of fur and teeth, but Damien intercepted with a single powerful leap. Elena felt the surge of power radiate from him, the raw intensity of the alpha in full form. And then, in the chaos, something happened. Elena reached out, and instinctively, energy surged from her, a shockwave that pushed the aggressor back. Her power, latent until now, had awakened. The forest seemed to pulse with her heartbeat. Damien's amber eyes widened, a mixture of awe, fear, and pride. It's begun, he whispered. Your power, it's real, and it's extraordinary. The night pressed on, shadows dancing, threat still lurking. Damien pulled Elena close, shielding her body, guiding her through the forest. Every glance, every brush of their hands, every heartbeat, deepened the connection, the bond, the inevitable fusion of their fates. You are mine, he said, voice low, a growl wrapped in velvet. And nothing will take you from me. Elena's lips brushed his arm instinctively. And I am yours, she whispered, heart pounding. Completely. A howl echoed through the distance. Damien's ears twitched. The hunter, or Kale. They're coming. We must be ready. The forest seemed alive, the night electric, charged with anticipation. Elena could feel every movement, every shift of energy, every heartbeat around them. Her senses sharpened. Her instincts guided her. And Damien's gaze never left hers. Amber eyes glowing with fire and passion, warning and desire, alpha and protector. The bond pulsed between them, a magnetic force neither could deny. The world outside the forest, outside the pack, could try to intervene, but here, now, in the moonlight and shadows, they were untouchable. Branches whipped against their faces as they ran, shadows twisting, forest alive with whispers. The night carried danger, thrill, and the undeniable pull of two souls bound by fate. Elena felt it with every step, the forest, the pack, Damien's presence, and the unyielding force that connected them. Fear, desire, exhilaration, all mingled into a potent cocktail that left her breathless. By the time they reached a secluded glade, both panting, hearts racing, the forest held its breath. Damien's amber eyes locked onto hers. Tomorrow, he murmured, voice low, intimate. We face the pack's final judgment, and the bond will be tested further. Elena's hand rested against his chest, feeling the pulse of life, power, and desire. I am ready, she whispered. The moon shone brightly overhead, silver light spilling through the trees. Shadows danced. Danger lingered, but so did the pull, the bond, the fire that threatened to consume and bind them all at once. And somewhere in the distance, Kyle's eyes glimmered, watching, waiting, plotting. The night was far from over. The night sky was painted in strokes of silver and ink, the moon a silent sentinel over the forest. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, sent Elena's senses reeling. The bond with Damien pulsed stronger than ever, a tether that pulled her closer with every heartbeat. Stay close, Damien murmured, muscles taut, amber eyes scanning the dark. They are near. The hunter won't stop, and Kale is cunning. Elena's pulse raced. She had felt the power within her stir before, but now it was more insistent, more alive. Her hands tingled as if the forest itself recognized her awakening. She glanced at Damien, standing tall and protective, a figure of power and desire. The bond between them thrummed with life, almost unbearable in its intensity. From the tree line, movement stirred. Shadows danced with malicious intent. Damien's head snapped toward the sound, ears twitching, body coiled like a spring ready to strike. Elena instinctively stepped closer, letting her instincts guide her. You feel it too, Damien whispered, amber eyes meeting hers. The danger, the energy. Trust it. The forest seemed to respond. Twigs cracked, leaves rustled, and two figures emerged, Kyle and a hunter, deadly and precise. Their eyes glimmered with malice and purpose. Elena's senses flared, heart hammering. Kyle stepped forward, voice smooth, venomous. Alpha, you're human. She is remarkable. But remarkable does not mean safe. Damien growled low, a warning rumble. She is my mate. Step closer, and you will regret it. The hunter's eyes gleamed in the moonlight, silent, calculating, lethal. Elena's gaze flicked to him, realizing fully the mortal danger they were in. But the forest whispered to her, instincts awakening. She could sense the hunter's movements, the subtle shifts in the ground, even the intent in Kale's stance. Damien's hand brushed her back, grounding her, anchoring her. Now, he breathed, show me your strength. Elena's pulse quickened, an energy rising from deep within. Her hand twitched, sending a shiver through the air. Leaves lifted, wind shifted, and the first shockwave of her latent power erupted. The hunter stumbled, caught off guard. Kale's eyes widened in surprise. The battle was fast and furious. Damien moved with the lethal precision of an alpha in full control, every muscle and reflex honed for survival. Elena followed, guided by instincts and raw energy, sensing every danger, every shift in the enemy's stance. She felt the bond with Damien deepen with every brush, every heartbeat. Amber eyes met hers in a silent conversation. Trust, desire, protection. Her powers surged again, invisible waves of force that pushed and disoriented their attackers. "You're incredible," Damien murmured, voice low, intimate amidst the chaos. "Stronger than I imagined." Elena's lips brushed his arm instinctively. I feel it. I feel everything. The bond, the danger, you." Kyle, relentless, lunged with his wolf form, teeth bared. Damien intercepted, muscles straining, a growl rolling through his chest. Elena's powers reacted automatically, tendrils of energy knocking Kyle off balance. The bond pulsed, guiding their actions, syncing movements with uncanny precision. The hunter, realizing his human advantage was gone, retreated slightly, watching, calculating. But Elena knew he wouldn't stay away for long. Her senses tingled, every shift in air and shadow alerting her to his intent. Damien's amber eyes softened as he stood close to her, protective, possessive, commanding. "This bond, it is stronger than anything I've ever known," he murmured. "And it will protect us if we allow it." They moved through the forest like a single entity, seamlessly blending human, wolf, and supernatural power. Every movement, every glance, every heartbeat reinforced their connection. Elena's senses sharpened beyond human limits. She could anticipate attacks, feel the flow of energy around them, and respond instinctively. Damien's growl rumbled in her chest, synchronizing with her pulse. He was alpha, protector, lover, and now a guide to her awakening. She reached out, fingertips brushing his arm. The bond pulsed again, a tangible force, drawing them closer, tethering them irreversibly. "You are mine," Damien said, voice low, dangerous, filled with desire. "And I will never let anyone harm you." Elena's lips brushed his arm instinctively. "And I am yours," she whispered, "completely always." A sudden rustle warned them. Kale had regrouped and the hunter moved with lethal precision. The forest became a blur of motion, shadows, and energy. Elena's powers flared again, pushing the enemies back, guiding Damien's strikes, predicting danger before it arrived. The intensity of the bond between them reached a fever pitch. Every touch, every glance, every heartbeat, every instinct converged into a singular force. They were unstoppable, united, and unstoppable. Damien's amber eyes met Elena's. "Soon," he murmured, "you will understand fully. Your power, our bond, it will change everything." Elena nodded, breathless, exhilarated. The night was far from over, but together, nothing could break them. The moonlight shimmered, casting silver shadows across the forest. The pack watched silently from the trees, sensing the surge of power, the awakening of the bond, the unity of alpha and mate. Some were in awe, some in fear. But none could deny what they saw. A human girl standing shoulder to shoulder with the alpha of the Blackfang pack, her powers awakened, her instincts honed, their bond unbreakable. The hunter retreated for now, Kale's eyes smoldering with unspoken threats. But one truth remained. The forest, the pack, and the night itself had changed forever. And in the heart of it all, Damien and Elena's bond pulsed like fire. Dangerous, intoxicating, unstoppable. The forest was alive with whispers, every leaf trembling as though aware of the storm gathering in its midst. Damien's muscles tensed, his eyes scanning every shadow. Amber light glowed faintly, reflecting the raw power within him. Elena followed closely, pulse synced with his, senses sharp, instincts alive. "They're close," Damien murmured, voice low, a growl vibrating in his chest. "I can feel it. Kale, the hunter, they are circling." Elena's hands tingled, power rising. The bond between them pulsed, an electric force that connected their hearts, their minds, their very souls. Every step she took resonated with Damien's energy. Every breath harmonized with his own. A rustle in the underbrush. Kyle appeared first, teeth bared, wolf form sleek, dangerous, poised to strike. Behind him, the hunter moved silently, lethal precision in every motion, human cunning against supernatural force. Elena's senses flared. She could feel every heartbeat, every subtle shift of intention. Damien stepped in front of her, protective, dominant. "Stay behind me," he commanded, amber eyes glowing with fierce warning. "And trust me." "I do," Elena whispered, voice trembling yet firm. Her powers surged instinctively, a silver energy radiating from her hands, brushing the trees, warning intruders of her awakening. The first clash erupted. Kale lunged, teeth snapping, claws slicing through air. Damien moved like liquid shadow, intercepting with strength, speed, and precision honed through decades of battles. Elena followed, energy thrumming from her fingertips, pushing back enemies, predicting moves before they occurred. "You are remarkable," Damien murmured as he twisted to avoid an attack. "I knew the bond would be strong, but this is beyond anything I imagined." Elena's heart hammered. I can feel everything," she gasped. "The forest, the pack, you, me, it's all connected." Amber eyes softened for a fleeting moment. "That connection, it's our greatest weapon, and our greatest risk." The hunter launched forward, aiming for Elena, but Damien's body intercepted, muscles taut, claws unsheathed, growl rumbling. Elena reacted instinctively, energy lashing out, sending a shockwave that staggered him. Kale's fury erupted. "Alpha, she is dangerous. A human cannot wield such power." "She is not just human," Damien snapped, voice slicing through the tension. "She is my mate, and no one will harm her while I draw breath." Elena's energy surged again. Trees bent under the force of her aura, shadows twisted, the forest itself seeming to align with her awakening. Damien's gaze locked with hers, amber meeting bright green, fire and force intertwined. The battle intensified. Wolves clashed, humans dodged and struck, energy and claws mingling in a deadly symphony. Elena's instincts sharpened. She sensed attacks before they came, guided Damien's movements subtly, protected him as fiercely as he protected her. Damien's voice was low, intimate. "Elena, trust the bond. Let it guide you. Let it protect us. I trust you," she whispered, pulse racing. "Completely. Always." Their hands brushed, magnetic, unstoppable. The bond pulsed with power, energy spilling outward, overwhelming, unstoppable. Every strike, every motion, every heartbeat was synchronized, a deadly harmony. Kale growled, fury and frustration mixing. You cannot win. A human cannot stand against us." Damien's amber eyes blazed. "She is no ordinary human. She is mine. And together, we are stronger than any threat you can muster." Elena's aura flared fully, silver light radiating, forest bending around her power. She felt herself expanding beyond her human limits, tapping into something ancient, primal, unstoppable. Her hands moved instinctively, strikes precise, defenses impenetrable. The hunter faltered, Kale staggered, and for the first time, Damien's enemies saw what it meant to face an alpha and his fated mate. In the heart of the battle, Elena's powers surged uncontrollably, a luminous force enveloping the clearing. Damien moved to shield her, yet they were not separate. They were one, intertwined, a force of nature. Wolves recoiled, shadows shifted, the forest itself seemed to rise in support. "You are extraordinary," Damien murmured, voice low, fierce. "Never doubt the bond. Never doubt yourself." Elena's gaze met his. I feel it. I am yours, always, completely." Kale's final strike was intercepted. Damien's strength, Elena's power, and the bond between them were unbreakable. The rivals were forced to retreat, beaten but alive, the forest settling into an uneasy quiet. As the moonlight filtered through the trees, Damien and Elena stood together, breathing heavily, hearts synchronized, bond pulsing visibly in the silver night. The danger had passed, for now. But both knew the world outside the forest would never forgive what had transpired. Damien's hand found Elena's cheek. "You have awakened fully," he said, voice husky, intimate. "And the bond, it is eternal. No force, no law, no enemy can break us." Elena leaned into him. "Then let them come. Together, we are unstoppable." The forest held its breath, the night electric, the moon witness to a love and power that would change everything. And in the distance, hidden eyes watched. Kale, the hunter, forces yet unseen. Their trials were far from over, but in that moment, Elena and Damien were one. Alpha and mate, human and wolf, bonded forever under the watchful gaze of the moon. Damien and Elena walked side by side, the weight of love, power, and destiny binding them. The forest, the pack, the moon itself bore witness to the birth of a union that would change everything. And as the first hints of dawn began to touch the treetops, a whispered promise lingered on the wind. The bond is eternal, and nothing will ever separate us. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting stories.